Now there's a funny thing, strawberries flowering in September. They're a little confused, but that's a pretty little rose. I need to basically dig this garden up. I've got to leave it in the condition I found it, which was just gravel. So I need to think about that. But yeah, look at that, strawberries. There we are, that's a shock for those of you that like Our Lady of Lourdes Church in the Leigh Road. Well, that chimed a little bit early, I thought. Now, changes happen everywhere you go, and some things sort of stay the same, but other things find themselves being changed. And just along here you can see that there's a footpath closure and scaffolding going on, and people from a gentler age will remember that that used to be a cinema many years ago. I think it's going to be flats now. It went from being a cinema into being, I think it was a snooker club or something, or a bingo hall, but it's been demolished, and unfortunately we can't see what they're doing. It's all sort of buried behind that shuttering. That's a bit disappointing really, isn't it? A building site's always fun. And does it tell us what's happening here? Doesn't really, does it? But there we are. That was once a cinema. Now some people, not me, navigate by public houses. You know, they sort of say, yeah, you go past the Queen's Arms and you turn left at the George and Dragon. Yeah, that's the broker. Do you know, I've never been in there. Never felt a need, oddly. Just around this corner, there is a building that used to be a pub that I have been in. And I'm trying to remember when. I know what the event was. It was one of our chaps was retiring, and the celebration was held in the Grand. Now the Grand has stood semi-derelict for more years than anyone cares to remember. It was a hotel with quite an impressive bar and restaurant and such likes. It now belongs to a property developer, and it's now being sorted out. Not quite sure what it's going to be. I think there's going to be some flats and things like that. And it's a bit of a shame that all that scaffolding and covering is up it, because it's quite an impressive building. You know, it actually deserves the name of the Grand, because it was quite a grand sort of hotel. And it looks like there's an awful lot of work going on there. I think I will have left the area before that job's finished, don't you? But that scaffolding would come in handy for working on the barn. But just imagine that you were staying in a room in that hotel, I don't know, say in the 1930s or something, and your view would not have been blocked by these blocks of flats. You'd have been looking over the estuary, the sea if you like, looking down towards Kent. But of course time and tide waits for no man, and people built these blocks of flats a few decades ago, which sort of spoil the view really if you're a holiday maker in the Grand Hotel celebrating King George the VI becoming king and all that sort of thing. Right, I'm going to walk up that way mainly for the exercise and the fresh air, but we'll see what we find. One of the things we do find is one of the old gate posts for the hotel, which tells us that the gate post was built in 1899. Hopefully they're going to leave that. It looks like they're going to leave it as they develop this site. Now, every time I see a church, I stop and make a visit, so that when they wheel me in, the Lord won't say, "Who is it?" Well, it's open and visitors are welcome, and yeah, I think we ought to, don't you? Now, I've taken you all in plenty of churches in France, and well, a church is a church is a church, isn't it? Well, not entirely the same. Has all the usual sort of features that you would expect. It has a high altar at the east end with a wonderful screen behind it and some beautiful stained glass. You can't see it too clearly because there's a screen for projecting onto. And forward of the high altar there's what you might think of as a Lourdes table. But one of the things that is missing in a Church of England is there isn't a tabernacle on the altar. Most Anglican churches have what's properly known as an aumbry, which is in effect it's a wall safe, and that's for keeping reserved sacrament in. When I get indoors I might bore you to tears with what a reserved sacrament is. Some of you know, some of you don't. But there is a sanctuary lamp lit, which indicates that there is reserved sacrament in this church. But isn't it gorgeous? But there we are. That's a bit of a roof, isn't it? Could build something like that to keep what do you call recreational vehicles in, or mini Winnebagos. But a lovely church. Well, that was very pleasant. I've just been chatting to some people, as you do, and it's good to see a healthy community in a healthy church. It's the Church of St Clement's, Leigh, and as you can see, if you was a little bit taller or standing on the wall, you're overlooking the estuary. So what a wonderful spot for a church. Well, that's one for the car lovers. I haven't got a clue what that is. I suppose I could cross the road and see if it's got a badge on it, couldn't I? See what I do for you, like cross roads, risking the traffic. I'm still none the wiser. It's a car. It's a Will V1, whatever one of those is. Well, I've had a stroll up the Leigh Road, and as you all know, there are charity shops, and as you all know, I have trouble walking past them. So put some sunglasses on. I'm going to show you what I bought. Now, some things you just have to, you know, they speak to you. They make you buy them. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? That came from, what shop did it come from? It came from the Friends of South End Hospital charity shop. I think that's superb. I shall wear that to work. That would be good, wouldn't it? Right. Cheerio, folks.